Hi, I'm Michael Kurosh. I live in Santa Barbara, California, one of the most beautiful places on earth. My design center is where people come to reimagine their homes and spaces. I work with the best designers, clients with broad tastes, and experts who navigate the fascinating world of design. I'm always excited to learn something new, and I never say no to a challenge. This is Design Santa Barbara. Welcome to Design Santa Barbara. I'm Michael Kurosh, and today we are in front of Santa Barbara Design Center. We have taken many fantastic road trips over the years, and today we are going to explore the history, design, and architecture of America's favorite Route 66. Please join us. The origins of Route 66 long predates what we know it as today, and actually goes back to well before the automobile was invented. In 1857, years before the Civil War, the Army Corps of Engineers explored the viability of building a cross-country road for the covered wagon trains fueling the massive westward expansion to California and Oregon. Running along the 35th parallel, parts of this road were used as the basis for what eventually became America's first numbered highway. Over 50 years later, the United States Congress passed legislation to establish a national highway system. The thought was to create a vast thoroughfare that could be accessed by both large cities and rural communities. Constructed over the next 10 years, this 2,448-mile long road became the first to be designated with a number in the U.S. highway system. Route 66 would begin in Chicago and pass through 8 states before terminating at the Pacific Ocean in Santa Monica. Let's start in Chicago, where Route 66 begins. At the time of the route's inception, Chicago was America's second largest city, only smaller than New York. It was the heart of the Midwest, a powerhouse of industry and a gateway to the new frontiers of America. Established in 1833, the city quickly grew from a population of 200 to over 300,000 in 1870s. In 1871, a devastating fire wiped out most of the city, leaving over 100,000 residents homeless. Out of the ashes of this tragedy, Chicago established a plan to become a modern American city, making strides in urban planning, beautification, and architectural design. The City Beautiful movement and Chicago School of Architecture helped rebuild the city into the metropolis it is today. In 1885, Chicago completed work on the world's first steel-frame skyscraper. The home insurance building, coming in at an unimaginable 10 stories tall, was an unprecedented achievement in structural design and inspired designers to literally reach for the stars. This innovation in part helped secure Chicago's selection for the upcoming 1893 World Columbian Exposition. In this era, World's Fairs were how innovation and culture were shared by the nations of the world. By selecting Chicago, this rapidly expanding city became the center of the world for 6 months. Almost 30 million visitors from 46 countries traveled to Chicago to see the White City, illuminated in the new electric light. The immense success of the exposition ensured Chicago's place in the world stage was set. Over the next 25 years, new skyscrapers shot up along the banks of Lake Michigan, creating an imposing skyline and establishing Chicago as the ideal location to start Route 66. Before we depart Chicago, let's look at more of its incredible architecture from this era of expansion. Heading southwest, the next major city on Route 66 is St. Louis, Missouri. Located near the confluence of the Mississippi and Missouri rivers, St. Louis had become a powerful location for shipping and transit. Hundreds of steamboats and later cargo ships would line the banks of the rivers, transporting goods and people north, south, east, and west. Much like Chicago, it saw rapid expansion in 1904 when it was selected to host not only a World's Fair, but also Summer Olympics. The architecture of St. Louis mirrored that of Chicago, and many of its early skyscrapers were built by the same firms that heralded Chicago's growth, including Louis Sullivan and Daniel Burnham, which transformed the building of skyscrapers into an art form and inspired future architects, including a young Frank Lloyd Wright. Let's look at more of St. Louis's architecture from this era. When we come back, we will continue our journey on historic Route 66. Stay tuned. There is more Design Santa Barbara after the break.
Santa Barbara Pizza House is your home for the best pizza in town. Embrace a symphony of flavors and textures with our pizzas. Drawing inspiration from both Chicago's deep dish legacy and Naples' artisanal heritage, our pizzas boast perfectly executed crusts, tantalizing sauces, and the finest mozzarella. Whether you're a seasoned pizza connoisseur or just looking for a delicious meal, our pizza here is sure to satisfy. Featuring specialty pizzas named after iconic Santa Barbara streets, our mouth-watering menu will have you coming back over and over again to try each new meal. We offer a full menu of salads, sides, sandwiches, and desserts. Santa Barbara Pizza House is conveniently located at 515 State Street in the heart of downtown Santa Barbara. Visit us online at sbpizzahouse.com or call and place your order at 805-637-7721. Santa Barbara Pizza House. You won't leave hungry.
Today we are with Miss Sherry Bagai from Sherry B Design, and she's our in-house window and drapery specialist. So, Miss Sherry, viewers had a question as why should they actually use window coverings in their home where they can have it free and open and everybody can, God knows, look in and they can look out. Could you explain?
There are many reasons, obviously, but I'm going to give you 6 important reasons that why having window coverings in the house is beneficial to you. Number 1 is the style. You know, with adding window coverings, you can make a room look formal, informal, contemporary. You can definitely bring a style and a warmth to the room. Second one, probably, I think the most important would be privacy. We all want to have privacy inside a house, so honeycomb shades are perfect. They would let the light in, but nobody can see inside and outside. I think the third most important reason would be the light that comes through. If you don't have any window coverings, your wood floor can get faded, your area rugs can get affected by the lights. The next important one would be the energy cost.
Yes.
With the window covering, you can make the room cooler, warmer, and definitely helps you with keeping the cost of your electricity and gas low. Last but not least would be how much value it would add to your home. If you're thinking about selling your home, definitely the right window covering, window treatment makes your home more elegant and more desirable.
More representative.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with all of them. And I highly recommend you, if you're looking for window coverings, come see Sherry B at Santa Barbara Design Center and get the right and proper window covering and add to your home and make your life happier.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. My grandfather taught me about the beauty of the rugs. Each one tells a story. Story about the person who wove it, the person who bought it, the person who inherits it, the person who treasures it. It's amazing how simply looking at an object can bring you back to a different place and time, or remind you of someone you love. At Santa Barbara Design Center, we want to help you find a rug that will travel through time with your family for generations to come. Visit us at 410 Olive Street and find your treasure today. Welcome back to Design Santa Barbara. I'm Michael Courage, and today we are traveling on historic Route 66, learning about this fascinating place in American culture. Please join us. Heading west on Route 66, our next major stop is in Oklahoma City. While not as large and imposing as Chicago or St. Louis, this area plays a pivotal role in the mystique of Route 66. It was here in Oklahoma that the devastating Dust Bowl agricultural disaster of the 1930s led countless families to pack up their belongings and take to Route 66 in search of a new life out west. At the time, they were derogatory called Okies, but the term soon became one of pride. The experience was dramatically documented by John Steinbeck in the novel The Grapes of Wrath, now considered one of the greatest American novels ever written. From Oklahoma, Route 66 passes through the panhandle of Texas, into New Mexico and Arizona, passing through Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and Flagstaff, then into California. Once in California, Route 66 passes through San Bernardino, heading towards Los Angeles. As you have seen in previous episodes where we have explored the rich history of Los Angeles, what is now America's second largest city saw massive expansion over the course of the 19th and 20th century. Archaeological data suggests Los Angeles was first settled around 3000 BC. Tribes including the Chumash thrived, and by the arrival of European colonists, there were an estimated 5,000 indigenous people living in the area. In 1542, the first Europeans to visit the region were led by Captain Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo. The first permanent non-native presence began when the Portola expedition arrived on August 2, 1769. Although Los Angeles was a town that was founded by Mexican families from Sonora, it was the Spanish governor of California who named the settlement. In 1777, Governor Felipe de Neve toured Alta California and decided to establish civic pueblos for the support of the military presidios. The new pueblos reduced the secular power of the missions by reducing the dependency of the military on them. At the same time, they promoted the development of industry and agriculture. Governor de Neve identified Santa Barbara, San Jose, and Los Angeles as sites for his new pueblos. His plans for them closely followed a set of Spanish city planning laws contained in the Laws of the Indies by King Philip II in 1573. Those laws were responsible for laying the foundations of the largest cities in the region at that time, including Los Angeles San Francisco, Tucson, and San Antonio. The Spanish system called for an open central plaza surrounded by a fortified church, administrative buildings, and streets laid out in a grid, defining rectangles of limited size to be used for farming and residences. The Pobladores is the name given to the 22 adults and 22 children from Sonora who founded Los Angeles. 20 were of African American or Native American descent. In December 1777, the Spanish Viceroy gave approval for the founding of a civic municipality at Los Angeles and a new presidio or garrison at Santa Barbara. As you can see, our community's history is very closely tied to that of Los Angeles. The official date for the founding of the city is September 4th, 1781. New families had arrived from New Spain earlier in 1781, in two groups, and some of them had most likely been working on their assigned plots of land since the early summer. The name first given to the settlement is debated. Historians have said that the Spanish name it El Pueblo de la Reina de Los Angeles, or the town of the Queen of the Angels. This name can be seen on maps as early as 1785. The town grew as soldiers and other settlers came into town and stayed. In 1784, a chapel was built on the original plaza. By 1800s, there were 29 buildings that surrounded the plaza, flat-roofed, one-story adobe buildings with thatched roofs made of tule. By 1821, Los Angeles had grown into a self-sustained farming community, the largest in Southern California. The rapid expansion of the region resulted in a need for native labor. Unlike the missions, indigenous people were paid for the work in Los Angeles, leading to increased population and settlement. Mexico's independence from Spain on September 28, 1821, was celebrated with great festivity throughout Alta California. No longer subjects of the king, people were now citizens with rights under the law. In the plazas of Monterey, Santa Barbara, and Los Angeles, people swore allegiance to the new government, the Spanish flag was lowered, and the flag of independent Mexico raised. Independence brought other advantages, including economic growth. There was a corresponding increase in population as more settlers arrived from America, Europe, and other parts of Mexico. Before 1820, there were just 600 people in Pueblo. By 1841, the population nearly tripled to 1,680. In May 1846, the Mexican-American War started. Because of Mexico's inability to defend its northern territories, California was exposed to invasion. On August 13, 1846, Los Angeles fell to American forces. After a 3-week occupation, a force of over 300 locals drove the Americans out, ending what came to be known as the Battle of Los Angeles. Despite this initial loss, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, signed on 2nd of February 1848, ended the war and ceded California and Los Angeles to the United States. With the acquisition of California by the United States and the ensuing gold rush in Southern California, Los Angeles continued to grow. Initially known as California's Cow County because it provided the majority shares of beef to the region, Los Angeles initially gained a reputation of a lawless, Old West town. Unlike cultured and refined San Francisco, Los Angeles had ineffective government and police, which allowed crime and corruption to run rampant. The city's first newspaper, Star of Los Angeles, was a bilingual publication which began its run in 1851. In the 1870s, Los Angeles was still little more than a village of 5,000. By 1900, there were over 100,000 occupants of the city. Several men actively promoted Los Angeles, working to develop it into a great city and to make themselves rich. Angelenos set out to remake their geography to challenge San Francisco with its port facilities, railway terminal, banks, and factories. During the 1880s and 1890s, the central business district grew along Main and Spring Streets towards 2nd Street and beyond. Much of Los Angeles County was farmland, with an emphasis on cattle, dairy products, vegetables, and citrus fruits. After 1945, most of the farmland was converted into housing tracts. The city's first railroad, the Los Angeles and San Pedro Railroad, was inaugurated in October 1869. Oil was discovered in 1892 near the present location of Dodger Stadium. The Los Angeles City oil field was the first of many fields in the basin to be exploited. And in 1900 and 1902, respectively, the Beverly Hills oil field and Salt Lake oil field were discovered a few miles west of the original find. Los Angeles became a center of oil production in the early 20th century, and by 1923, the region was producing 1/4 of the world's total supply. It is still a significant producer, with the Wilmington oil field having the 4th largest reserves of any field in California. From the turn of the century to the start of World War II, Los Angeles was classified as a boom town. The development of the motion picture industry in Hollywood put Los Angeles on the map, and the population began to grow at a fever pace. The area proved to be perfect for filmmaking, as the diversity of the region allowed for filming multiple genres and settings without traveling far. Take a look at this map of the area developed by film studios to show all the locations and how they could be portrayed on film. In 1930, Mines Field was opened. Initially a basic single runway, by 1941 it had been developed into a full airport, and in 1949 it was renamed Los Angeles International Airport. Today, LAX is one of the busiest transportation hubs on Earth. With the establishment of Route 66, it became the proverbial and literal end of the road for those seeking a new life out west. Route 66 concludes at the entrance of the Santa Monica Pier at the intersection of Highway 1, which stretches north and south along the Pacific coast. We have taken that road trip in previous episode. Imagine the endless possibilities of standing at this intersection, having just finished a 2,500-mile adventure. You can literally go anywhere and do anything. This is a key part of the mythos of American dream. While it was an essential artery for those seeking a new life out west during the Great Depression and pre-World War II years, in post-war America, Route 66 became a major destination for those seeking a fun vacation. In the 1950s, there was nothing more American than packing your family up, attaching a camper to the back of your giant car, and taking off on Route 66 for a cross-country adventure. As such, numerous roadside attractions sprung up across the route. From the simple concept of campgrounds to the most absurd forms of tourist traps, Route 66 became a place of legend and wonder. Let's look at some of the classic, kitschy, and downright odd things you could see along America's highway. During the administration of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, the U.S. established an almost unfathomably large interstate highway system, one of the greatest engineering feats in human history. It came at a cost equivalent to over $500 billion in today's money. This also meant that Route 66 was no longer special. With multiple routes to get from east to west and the advancement of jet travel, Route 66 saw a rapid decline in use, and in many expansive sections without major cities fell into disrepair. By the mid-1980s, it was decertified as an official highway, and many of the famed roadside attractions and towns that sprung up along the road disappeared. To this day, there are numerous ghost towns along what remains of the route. It has truly become an allegory of the American experience in so many ways. Although it is no longer the main artery of travel that it once was, many parts of Route 66 are either already preserved or being preserved by those who wish to acknowledge its importance in this country's history. Many spans of the route have been designated historic roads and are once again being traveled on by visitors wishing to experience what it was like back in the day. At both its starts in Chicago and its terminus in Santa Monica, you can find markers honoring its place in history. I hope you have enjoyed this incredible road trip. It's amazing to think we have traveled 2,500 miles in only 30 minutes. Well, as the song goes, come get your kicks on Route 66. Thank you for watching. See you next time on Design Santa Barbara.